Good afternoon. Well, I'm pretty pleased. I've just finished restoring this Mark 9 horn. It's taken me several years on and off. It was extremely drooped, not as bad as some, but the EMG Mk 9 horns suffered from a lack of support. The casting wasn't long enough, and in damp homes and so on, they all tended to droop, and this one had quite a bit. Somebody had painted it silver with some ghastly rubberized silvery paint at some point, and then some other owner later on had tried to strip the stuff off, so it was partly skinned of its outer layer of paper, which I had to finish and take back to bare paper layers. As many of you will know, but some may not, these EMG horns, apart from the aluminium casting at the back, at the base, are made of papier appliqué, similar to papier mâché, but not a sort of a pulp. Layers of paper of various kinds, pasted one over another. Sugar paper was one thing they used early on. Later it is known and confirmed that they actually used newspapers. It's reputed that they used telephone directories at some point. Who knows? Anyway, incredible things made of paper. This does look a bit small and peculiar on a 10B base, which normally carries a much larger horn. Let's just grab the camera. I'll spin you around. That's lying on the sofa here. It does look huge sitting on there, reclining in splendour. But obviously I've just put this horn on here to show you. I'm going to play a record first, and then I'm going to show you the exterior of it. Spin it round either way. I'm going to save the moment of unveiling till last. And we've got Miff and his molars. Some sweet day. And I bet the horn was thinking, some sweet day, somebody might put me to rights, and I have, with a little twist, as we'll see in a bit, but let's have the record first. you've probably noticed it's still slightly oval. It's a little bit narrower than it is tall, but I thought it was probably too much intervention to try and correct that, and it really doesn't bother me. This one hadn't actually started to actually fully collapse at the sag, so I just over a period of months wet it slightly. I had a sort of a jack that made for the purpose that the good friend Alex Kirtley had made, so I just very gradually put it back into shape and then added lots of paper layers. Anyway, let me just move this forward so that you can get, I think will be the best view of the horn to its side. Now these things, most of them seem to have been covered on the outside with a kind of a reptilian finish paper, and because it's such a complex shape, they have to be covered in paper in all different orientations, shapes of pieces and so on. And so the textured or patterned paper was chosen to confuse the eye, or a trompe-l'oeil. I do like that expression. Some French expressions, an eye trumpet sounds like a marvellously bizarre device, but obviously it doesn't mean that, but to a sort of an optical illusion, so you get a homogeneous visual effect and you don't too much see the paper pieces and the joins and the different orientations and so on, although you do if you look closely. But we know that some of them were covered in marbled paper, and at least certainly the one we do know of is dear friend Graham Rankin, who actually sold me this horn some years ago. Thank you, Graham. But his extraordinary Kraken horn, which has all started to come apart in an extraordinary manner. You can find a video on YouTube of that, but I think it's destined to be reborn at some point, which will be splendid. But that had a marbled or patterned paper. It looks as though that was on the inside, and possibly the owners, it was a stately home that one was destined for, where it was found. We think that possibly the customer didn't like it, and then it was covered in the more familiar reptilian type fabric. But definitely there's a layer of this kind of thing. So marbled paper. This is the expedient I decided upon, partly because it's difficult to get the reptilian stuff other than in rather a plasticky finish. But there we go. This is what I've done. It's a bit of an experiment. Nothing lost, because if I decide I don't like it, or it's silly or inappropriate or whatever, it's only the time I've spent doing it, which was quite a lot of hours, and the money spent on the paper. Gorgeous marbled paper, handmade by Gemma Lewis Marbling. Really fantastic supplier to work with. So grateful to have this. It's slightly special for me, this one, but I'm really pleased. You can see some edges and so on. I might add a few more little bits and pieces here and there just to confuse those, but there we are. Let's just swing it round the other way. The other problem this horn had was you can see how far the casting actually goes up to about here, and on the bigger later ones they carried it up more to this sort of area, so all this was supported, and as well as the sag, quite pronounced. I suppose it was probably the bottom angle of the horn here, I suppose, was something like that. Some do go even further, but the sides have not quite creased and started to collapse, as I said earlier. But at this point where the casting ends, this had what I can only describe as an eruption. It was sort of breaking out and starting to give way. So many layers. I suppose in places there are probably, I should think, at least 40 or 50 layers of kraft paper. But there it is. Anyway, it's been so intense for a couple of days actually putting all this paper on that I can't really gauge whether I love it or not quite sure, befuddled, bemused, bewildered? I really don't know. I'm going to have to live with it for a while. But I say, if I decide I don't like it, I can just repaper it with something else. Anyway, answers on a postcard. What you think? Yeah, it's very satisfying to have got it done anyway. Thank you for your patience with all my gabbling on about it. Bye bye.